Okay. Am I live? Can you guys hear me? Am I here? Can you hear me? I am trying out a new system today that should make, hopefully, my lives go a little smoother. So, if you are tuned in and you can hear me, let me know. I hope everything's working right. Just a heads up for kind of what's coming up. We talked about this a little bit last week, but this week, I think on Friday, I will be posting about a blog post about how to handle the time change coming up. So there's some super unique ideas in there. There's some pretty traditional that you'll see other places and just how to handle it, but I do share a tip that's my very favorite way to handle the time change. So you'll want to check out that blog post coming up on Friday. It'll come out. So it's something that can make the time change not only smooth, but enjoyable, which you don't hear very often. So definitely check it out. No one else is talking about this, and it's a game changer for the time change. So you'll want to check it out. Otherwise, we're doing Good Things Utah next Friday. That should be fun. So if you're a Good Things Utah fan, that's airs live Friday morning, so we'll be doing that. And yeah, just working on a lot of background stuff right now. So that's what we have going on. So we've got a ton of questions today. I'm super excited. I'm just going to jump in and get started. So yeah, so there's a new system. If you've done this before, I'm trying something out new where you, oh yeah, Kate's saying, I didn't think about the time change. Yeah, I hate the time change. It's like worst thing ever. So you're going to want to read this blog post on Friday. That's also what we'll be talking about with Good Things Utah next Friday. So I feel like my hair looks funny right here. So weird to talk to yourself. This is so weird, you guys. Don't. Okay, so let's jump in. For those of you who have done this before, I'm doing something new. Instead of just leaving your question on my post, you can actually click a link and submit it and get a reminder of the video. So super cool stuff that we're doing. So if you did leave a question on my post, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and answer it. But just so you know, that's kind of fun things that are happening. So, and then I got a few questions via email from some past clients that we're going to talk about where they've hit a couple hiccups. So I will just jump right in and we'll just go through a bunch of these and see what we can learn. So Yolana Renova, she says, hi, my 6-month-old daughter falls asleep only by holding and rocking her. We tried to let her cry it out for a little bit a couple of times and she got super upset that it took forever to calm her down. Also, I keep her in a crib during the night, but she wakes up every 1.5 hours crying, and I assume asking me to hold her and put her to sleep. It's so exhausting night after night, and I would like to ask you for some tip how to help her learn to fall asleep on her own. I really appreciate your time. Okay, thanks, Yolana, and hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I'm sure I'm not. I did live in a Spanish-speaking country for 18 months, but that does not mean I am very good. So, yes, so your daughter is waking up because she wants you to hold her back to sleep because that's the only way she knows how to fall asleep, because that's how you're helping her to sleep right now. So obviously it sounds like she needs to fall asleep on her own at the beginning of the night. So that's sleep training her. So I have a couple of blog posts up that you can go look on my website that talk about Q&A, frequently asked questions. Sorry, not Q&A. Sleep training, frequently asked questions, myths about sleep training so that you can do it right if you want to do it on your own. And it'll kind of set you up and get you headed in the right direction. I see that you did cry it out for a couple times. It's 2 weeks. So whatever method you choose, if you do cry it out or if you do a different method, you need to be consistent for 2 weeks. And if you don't see any improvement after 2 weeks, then I would probably take her in to see, you want to get her pediatrician's approval, but if you don't see improvement in 2 weeks and you're being super consistent, then you need to come and talk to me and purchase one of my sleep plans so we can get working on it and go from there. So Yeah, eventually she will fall asleep. So I see that you're saying she's crying so hard and we have to go in and help her calm down. That's the problem. You can't go in and help her calm down if you're doing cry it out. You have to let her figure it out on her own. And at 6 months, she's learning object permanence. So it's only going to get worse and she's only going to cry more because she remembers you when you're not there. So the biggest thing you can do is be consistent. If you're doing cry it out, make sure she's unswaddled, no binky. Laying her down in her bed awake and leaving the room, cry it out, leave the room, and let her cry. And, you know, I've had babies cry for an hour and 2 hours and then sleep for 20 minutes and then wake up and cry for more hours at a time. But the nice thing about cry it out is it's not 2 weeks of that. If you're consistent, it's generally less than that. Usually they pick up fairly quickly. So that's what you need to do. So if you want more step-by-step instructions, I'd be happy to help you. Finish watching the video because we'll probably talk about more things here, but that's generally what needs to happen. You just have to be more consistent and let her figure it out. She's gonna have to struggle. She's gonna cry. She's gonna get upset. And I have clients whose child has gotten upset to the point of throwing up, right? And guess what? You can still sleep train and be consistent with a child who's throwing up. Yes, it's hard, but once they learn, they'll get it, okay? Okay, so Christina Jess, she says, how long can a 5-month-old tolerate being awake? At 5 months, it's about 2 hours. I say about because in the morning it might be a little less. It might be closer to like an hour and a half. And then towards the end of the day, it could be a little bit longer, like 2 hours and 15 minutes, but not much longer than that, and generally 2 hours between each nap. At 5 months, you can still base naps by wake period. So, she woke up at this time, so I'm going to put her to bed this time, this much later. But between 5 and 6 months, you do want to transition where you're doing naps by the clock. So it's, okay, her naps are at 8:30 and 11:30 and 3, right? So that's when she's going to sleep. So very soon, you should be transitioning her to naps by the clock, and then you won't worry so much about how long has she been awake? So that should help. Melissa Nolan says, she's got a long one, so I'm not going to read it all for you. Her son has had, he's a good eater, he has reflux. Tonight he went right down for nighttime, but for all his nap times today, he has walked around crying. He can't get down, which is unusual for him since we did cry it out. So he's hit a developmental milestone where he's crawling around or walking around in his crib and he's having a hard time falling asleep. Generally, that does happen for naps because they're not as tired for nap. Naps are harder, sleep doesn't come as easy. So then he's awake for naps, and then by bedtime, he's ready to go to sleep, so he goes right to bed. Sounds like that's what's happening. He was throwing up on himself, standing at the railing, so I gave up today and drove him around in the car to get one nap in without me holding him to sleep. Yeah, just don't do that I get it, like one day, like you're desperate, but just don't do it consistently because it will create a habit that will be just as hard to break. So he's waking up between 5:30 and 6:15, which is kind of early. Nap is from 8:45 to 9:30. I don't know if you tell me how old he is. I think he's 7 months. I think you said he's 7 months. So he could be on a 2 or 3 nap schedule. Let's see, he's taking a nap at 8:45, a nap at 12, and then a nap at 3 p.m. If he will go down, lots of times he skips it. So he's probably ready to switch to 2 naps. You probably have 2 things going on here, Melissa. One is that he just has to learn how to get down and fall asleep, and there's nothing you can do to help him. He has to figure it out on his own. So the more that you can keep him in his room during nap time to figure out how to sit down and fall asleep, the sooner he'll learn, and then the less you'll have to help him. That's number 1. Number 2 is he probably is ready to transition to a 2 nap schedule, which would look like naps closer to like 9 and 1 at this age, maybe 1:30 depending on how long his naps are. So you're going to lengthen out his morning, right? His morning nap is going to be a little bit later, and then his afternoon nap will be a little bit later too, and then bedtime will be a little bit earlier, maybe like 6 or something. So. Okay, so. That's probably why he's waking at night too. Yeah, she says he's waking at 9:15 and 12:30. One after 12 and one after 4. Which is, I'd like him probably down to at least 1 feeding and not 2. And you say sometimes he skips the 4 a.m. one. I'd rather him skip the 12:30 feeding. I'd rather him, make sure you're waiting 15 minutes before you go in, but I'd rather him skip that one. So, yeah. And you can actually drop both feedings by 9 months because that's when they're developmentally ready to drop those feedings. So, talk to your pediatrician and see what he says. Does he need to eat at night or not? And then I would switch into 2 naps, and I would let him figure it out, let him struggle, let him learn how to fall asleep, even if he knows how to stand. Okay. Let's go to Tiffany. And if you have any questions, like if I'm on your question, you're welcome to ask me in the comments. I can see the comments coming in. So, yeah, feel free to ask me in the comments if you're here. Hopefully you're here. I guess that is the benefit of watching live. And I see Kate. Sorry, I have to get close, so hopefully you don't mind this. This is along with my question I asked. My 8.5-month-old has 3 naps at 9, 12, and 3:30, and I'm wondering when to start 2 naps and what times the schedule should be. Yeah, so somewhere between usually 7 and 9 months. By 9 months, they go down to 2 naps. So he's ready to go down to 2 naps, and you say his naps are at 9, 12, and 3:30. So I'd probably lengthen out that. I don't know what time he's waking up, Kate. Hopefully it's 6, maybe 6:30. I'd lengthen it out just so it's a little bit longer, so that first nap can really start anywhere between 9 and 10. So you be the judge, right? Do you want them, where is he? Can he go 30 minutes longer? Great. And then I like that first nap to end around 11. So sometimes you can get away with 11:30 when they're just transitioning to 2 naps. He is waking up at 6. Okay, great. So yeah, you can even keep that nap at 9 if he's waking up that early. So you can keep it at 9. And I don't know how long he's sleeping for, but generally that next nap is going to happen around 1. If it's you just kind of have to gauge and watch. It happens anywhere. That second nap will happen anywhere between 12:30 and 2:30, but generally when you're on the 2 nap schedule, that's when it starts a little bit later. So 1:30. You said he's going to bed at 12, so you want to lengthen out maybe by an hour or so. And then same thing after. He'll have a little bit longer time after, so maybe 3 hours from his nap. So kind of think 3 hours in between each one, but you're going to time them by the clock, if that makes sense. So you're not going to say, oh, okay, great, his morning nap was 1 hour, so I'll put him down 3 hours later. You could say, oh, generally his morning nap is 1 hour, so I can plan to put him down at this time, and then you can kind of do it. My word, you guys, I have a low battery. How did I not check that? I might have to go get my charger. Okay, let's just see how far we get. We'll see. I'll go grab it if it gets low. Leslie, let's jump on. Oh no, Tiffany Taylor. Sorry, Tiffany Taylor says, my son cries and fights sleep every single time he goes down. Every single nap, at bedtime, and every time he wakes up in the night. He's been teething for over a month now, but I've tried amber bracelet medication, anything. Nothing helps him stay asleep or go to sleep without fighting and screaming. Okay, Tiffany, it's not teething. There's no research that says teething keeps a baby up at night for a month. There is research that says teething keeps a baby up for two nights when the tooth is actually breaking through, but this is not teething. It's not teething. Okay. And if it is teething, it should last 2 days. And if it goes longer than 2 weeks, then you definitely know it's not teething. Even 4 days is not teething. Okay, he usually eats, and then I lay next to him when he falls asleep. He's never fought sleep until now. How old is he? Yeah, how old is he? Did you tell me that? Tiffany, you're here. Tell me. My little boy's 7.5 months. Yeah, so he's dealing with object permanence at this point. Now when he wakes up, he knows that you're not there, or he just knows more. It's just going to continue to get harder and harder for him to sleep. So usually it's only laying next to him when he falls asleep. So so laying next to him, that has to be taken away. It has to be removed. He can't have you right next to him because he'll need that all the time for everything. He's never fought sleep until now, but he fights sleep and screams even when I hold him. Yeah. Okay. So it's not just that you're saying I'm not there or he's waking up and you're not there. It's he's fighting it even when you're there. Okay, I have no idea what to do. How do I get my son to stop fighting sleep and waking up every single hour in the night? So obviously, if you haven't looked at some of my vlogs about sleep training, go on and read the ones about sleep training, frequently asked questions. And there's another one of their sleep myths, but he needs to be sleep trained, which essentially means he needs to be falling asleep 100% on his own. Put in his crib, completely awake, and whatever method you're choosing, cry it out, no cry, gradual, whatever method you're choosing, he has to fall asleep on his own, okay? So that has to be step number 1, because if that isn't happening, I can't go through all the other steps to see what else it possibly could be, because most likely that's what it is. So he has to do that. I don't know what his schedule looks like, but that can often be a culprit of frequent wakings. Again, only if he's sleep trained. I mean, I can look at the schedule and say this, that, or the other, but if he's not sleep trained, it may not improve it. So that's what you've got to do with him. He may be fighting sleep at this point because he may be completely overtired, and that's when children are not getting enough sleep. It's called sleep deprivation, right? Form of torture during war times, right? So if that's happening for him, like if he, and I have no idea, because Tiffany, I don't know what his schedule looks like, but if he's not getting enough sleep, heck yes, he's just going to cry and fight it every single time, right? And 7.5 months, if he's getting any type of developmental stuff going on, like crawling or sitting up or anything like that, that's all going to make it so he doesn't want to sleep. FOMO, that is a real thing with babies, right? He doesn't want to go to sleep. It's not fun anymore. So you can't continue to help him go to sleep. He has to learn how to do that on his own. And it's going to be rough for him because he knows that it's more fun to stay up, right? So Tiffany, you'd be great for my sleep plan package if you want to go check it out. Because he needs some sleep training. Let's see. Sorry, you guys, I have to get in here to see these questions. Okay, he's always fallen asleep on his own until this new fighting. Okay, that's good news. So what you need to do is be consistent with how it was before he started fighting, which means it doesn't matter how much he fights. He has to do it on his own, right? It doesn't matter how much he cries. He will eventually learn that this is sleep time and this is what we need to happen. And when we're consistent like that, we teach our children that we're dependable, we're reliable, and they can trust us. Even though they're crying and screaming, we're teaching them those things. Okay, guys, I'm not going to make it. I got to go get my battery. I'm so sorry. I had great battery this afternoon. I must have used it all. So give me 3 seconds. Just, I'll be right back. Sorry. Love you guys. You're great. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so you just have to be super consistent. It's just a regression, and you're going to run into these all the time. And the more consistent you can be, the sooner that he can learn what's expected from him, and he can fulfill that, meet your expectations. Okay, Leslie Fabian, maybe. I'm horrible with names. If you watch these before, you know that, and I apologize. People get my name wrong all the time too, so I know what it's like, and we can empathize with one another as I mess up all your names. Okay, she says, my 17-month-old still wakes about 3 times every night and doesn't sleep a full 12 hours like my first child did. Goes to sleep at 7 p.m. and wakes between 5:30 and 6:15 a.m. Am I doing something wrong? No. Or yes, or I don't know is a better answer. What I should say instead of that is not every child is going to sleep 12 hours at night. Children do have varying needs. So while some children will sleep a solid 12 hours, other children will need less sleep and they won't quite get their full 12 hours at night. At 17 months, I don't know the schedule, Leslie, so I don't know if he's taking 1 nap or 2 naps. If he's on 2 naps, honestly, some kids only sleep 10 hours at night because they're getting, 3 hours of naps during the day, and that 13 hours may be enough. Somewhere between 13 and 14 is fairly normal for that age. So it totally depends on naps and what's going on. I would say 5:30 is a little early for me. I say 6 is fair game, but 5:30 is a little early. So, and then the other question is he sleep trained? Is he falling asleep completely on his own? Because if not, you're going to have early wakings. You're going to have kids waking up at night. So a couple questions for you to ask Leslie, and then I'm happy to, if you're here, you can jump on and I can try and help, or you can ask more questions next week, or you can contact me about a sleep consultation if he's sleep trained, or the sleep plan package if he's not sleep trained. So yeah, Hopefully that helps, but it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. As far as the 7 p.m. to 6:15 a.m., 3 times a night, you should not be waking up 3 times a night, so there's something going on there. I don't know if it's schedule related, I don't know if it's sleep training related, and I don't know if something else is going on, because I just don't have enough information. Okay, Laura Mendenhall. She says, we are on day 10 of sleep training. What happened? Okay, I'm still here. My computer went black. I don't know what it was doing. It says it's charging. Still recording. Okay, sorry guys. I hate technology stuff. If anyone wants to be my technology guru, I will totally let you. Okay, Leslie Mendenhall. We are on day 10 of sleep training. We are using the chair or sleep lady method. My 14-month-old, better late than never, right? I've seen later. That's not so late. You're fine, Laura. My daughter slept through the night for 6 days in a row from between 8 to 8:30 until at least 6 a.m. Now for the past 4 nights, she's been waking up at 3 a.m. on the dot and cries off and on for an hour or more. I've mostly just given up after an hour of crying. Okay, so a couple things that I'm going to mention right now before I move on, just to throw these out there. If you've sleep trained and she slept through the night for 6 days in a row, typically most babies hit a sleep regression between 3 and 8 days of sleep training, where they regress and we think, oh crap, I'm not doing this right, I need to change something, and you couldn't be further from the truth. Don't change anything. Keep being consistent, and that can last for, 3 to 8 days, or it can last a while. Hopefully it doesn't. And the more consistent you are, the quicker it will pass. So that may be why she was waking. It may be a schedule problem. I don't know, because I don't know what her naps look like. But when you say I've mostly just given up after an hour crying, what you've told her right then is when you wake up and you cry for an hour, I will come and get you. And for her, that may be worth it. It may be worth it. That hour of crying may totally be worth it. And so, especially if that's a regression, what's happening is she's learning, oh, this is working, right? And what is a regression when we're sleep training? A regression is them saying, okay, I get this and I know I can do it, but I don't want to, Mom. I don't want to. I like it when you hold me to sleep or rock me to sleep or nurse me to sleep. So can we please go back to that? Can we please just go back to that? And so they're going to fight it. And if we give in, if we go get them at 3 a.m. after an hour of crying, we're telling them, yeah, you're right. I will come and help you. I will come and help you, right? Instead of saying, no, you're a capable child. I know you can do this. You've done it in the past. I'm here to support you, but I know that you can do it, right? Okay, so I'm wondering if her waking up has to do with her inconsistent nap schedule. Very well could be. I know around 15 months, toddlers switch to 1 nap instead of 2. Some do. Somewhere between 14 and 18 months, they switch from 2 naps to 1 nap. So she may or may not be ready. She is tired in the morning around 10. She's waking up at 6. Does she have a consistent wake time, Laura? She needs to have a consistent wake time. So if 6 a.m. is her wake time, if she's not awake by 6:15, you need to go in and wake her up so that it can help even out the rest of her day so her naps can be more consistent. That's the first thing you need to do to keep naps consistent. She's tired in the morning around 10. I usually just let her cry for around an hour in her crib and she doesn't fall asleep. Yeah, so if she's on a 2-nap schedule and she's waking up at 6, 10 might be a little late. She might need to go to bed at 9, closer to 9 or 9:30. But if she's sleeping longer, so I don't know. Again, I don't have enough information, and that's something that I would want to look at. If she's tired and she's in her crib crying for an hour and she knows how to fall asleep on her own, then it's either a regression or she's very tired. And so putting her to bed earlier may help. I don't know for sure. I'd want more information. She will take her afternoon nap around 2 for around an hour. I am ready for both of us to be more rested and happy. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. I'm happy I can help. Yeah, so an hour nap at 14 months is not bad in the morning, and an hour nap at 2 is not bad. Doing that, yeah, I just wonder about the timing of it because I don't quite have enough information. I don't know if she's always waking up at 6. She needs to be waking up at the same time every day and taking her first nap at the same time and taking her second nap at the same time. And the most adjustable time for sleep is the last nap. So, and I don't think your schedule is awful at all. 2 for about an hour. She is going to bed a little late at night. She's only sleeping till 3. I mean, that's 5.5 hours. That's a long time. My 2-year-olds don't stay awake that long. So there is some adjustment there. She needs a lot more sleep. She's going to have to do an earlier bedtime and adjust those naps a little bit. I don't have enough information to totally tell you what you should do. So we can do a sleep consultation, and you're welcome to ask another question next week. Oh, is that Laura? Yeah, Laura. And Laura says, so far not consistent waking up times. Okay, so start there. You have to start with that one. She has to be waking up at the right time. Okay, I'm looking up a question from Holly Bishop. I'm glad I saw this one. It was sent right before we started, so I was able to take a picture of it because I didn't have time to print it off. So she says, my toddlers, 3-year-old, slept through the night for a long time. Last fall, our family moved to a different state, and he wakes up multiple times per night, which is common with any big change, right? He doesn't nap anymore. He goes to bed at 7 and wakes up at around 3, and then sometimes 4:45 to 5-ish. He is awake for the day about 6:30. Okay, so he is, with all of those wake-ups and going to bed at 7 and getting up at 6:30 with no naps, I mean, the most he's getting is like 11 hours of sleep at 3 years of age. So, yeah, I agree that by last fall, if it was just an adjustment thing, he should have adjusted with, if you had, and I'm not saying you hadn't been, I'm just saying, assuming you had been consistent last fall with your sleep training habits and routines and all of that, then after a while, he should have adjusted, right? Since he hasn't, and I don't know the timeline of everything, but it sounds like one of the things that's happening now is he's not getting enough sleep. So again, sleep deprivation, right? He's not getting enough sleep. He's not going to sleep well. He's going to wake up. So at 3 years of age, I mean, if he's waking up at 6:30, he can go to bed like at 6. I know that feels so early, but he really can. He really can go to bed at 6 with no nap. He'll probably fight sleep less and hopefully sleep better. So that's the first thing that I would do. And then, yeah. And then I don't know what everything else looks like. So again, if you're interested in the sleep consultation, we can go over that and kind of map out some other ideas or get a full picture of what's happening. So, okay, let me jump on here and answer some questions that were posted. So Amy Ripple, she says, my 2.5-year-old has been struggling with naps, not wanting to take them. That's about right at 2.5, right? That's when they really start to resist. But then falls asleep around 3 in the afternoon. Then has a hard time falling asleep at night when it's his bedtime around 9. We finally do get him to go to sleep, but he wakes up every single night around 2 a.m. and wants to come and sleep in our bed for the rest of the night until about 7 in the morning. Okay, so I assume he's waking up at 7 regularly. Any suggestions? Would you try to cut out naps altogether when he wakes up at 2 in the morning? Should I try to put him back in his bed? Sometimes I'm just so tired, I just let him sleep with us. Okay, so a couple of things are going on. One, I like to keep naps till at least 3. And as long as you can, up to 4. So 2.5 is pretty young to cut out naps entirely. But I get that they're going to start fighting him. My twins are fighting their naps right now. They go to bed at 1, and they're not falling asleep until 2, and they sleep from 2 to 3. And I'm waiting 2 weeks to see if it works itself out. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to do some interventions. But I'm waiting 2 weeks to see if it works it out. So Amy, if you haven't waited 2 weeks, wait 2 weeks and see if it's just one of those bugs that they'll get over on their own. If at 2 weeks, and maybe it's already been 2 weeks and they're still fighting that nap, what I would do is make that morning. I don't know what's happening for sure, but my bet is if he's going to bed late, he might be sleeping in later. So the first thing you got to do is do that consistent wake time at 7 and maybe even earlier because he's fighting his naps, and so he might need a little bit less sleep before we drop naps. So you can do an earlier wake time. And then when you do naps, I would do naps at like 12:45, 1 o'clock. That's a good time. Put him to bed. Hopefully he's still in a crib, and I give him 1 hour. And if he doesn't fall asleep in an hour, then I get him up, right? But again, it comes back to being super consistent. I can't make my child sleep, right? I can't make them fall asleep. I have zero control over that. But I do have control over, putting him in his room, shutting the door, making sure he's safe, making sure it's dark, making sure it's quiet, making sure he has everything waking him up in the morning early enough so that he's tired enough to take his nap, right? All of those things can help him sleep. And then it's his choice if he sleeps. So if he doesn't sleep, make sure he's going to bed super early, like 6. So I get it. Afternoons are super hard and you just have to do everything you can to keep your child awake in the afternoon. So don't let him watch TV, right? That's when you fall asleep in the afternoons. Don't let him watch TV. Like, go outside, go do something to keep him awake. And then if he doesn't take a nap, again, early bedtime's like 6, like a sleep at 6, which means we're getting ready for bed very early. And then, and hopefully as he gets enough sleep, because that's really what's happening. He's going to bed too late and then he's not getting enough sleep. Hopefully as he gets more sleep, that 2 a.m. wake up will diminish. But because it's a habit and because he's getting something out of it, sleeping with mom and dad, it may continue for a while. And yes, the best thing you can do is be super unresponsive to him at night and just take his hand and take him back to bed. And you can say, like, you can have a phrase that you say, like, you sleep in your bed, mommy sleeps in her bed. I'll see you in the morning, right? But it's a zombie phase. And you can go over this with him beforehand, before you put him to bed, you know, hey, you're going to sleep in your bed all night. You don't get to sleep in mommy's bed. Like, do a whole thing about that. But yes, you have to be consistent with it. And I know that you're so tired. I had a client put like a bell on her door because she was so tired. She wouldn't even hear her son come in and sleep in her bed. And I'm like, you have to wake up. Like, the only way he's going to stop coming in is if he never gets to sleep with you. So you're going to have to find a way to wake up so that you can go take him back to bed. It's a pain, but like anything, if you put effort in now, you won't have to put effort in later and it will get better. Okay, so Kate, you asked this question. Did I answer it for you well enough? I'll read it again. She just said, at what age do you suggest switching from 3 naps to 2? Do you look at age or do you look at their actions and determine it that way? Both. If they haven't switched by 9 months, then it's time to switch. But 2, if they're doing things like skipping their 3rd nap, fighting, going to bed at night, waking up in the middle of the night, fighting any of their naps, like all those things can be signs that they're ready to drop it. But you don't want that to just happen once. You kind of want to watch it for 2 weeks and make sure, unless they're 9 months, unless they're really close, then I don't know if I'd watch it for 2 weeks. But if they're like 6 months and doing that, I'd watch it for 2 weeks and then do it when they're showing problems consistently. Okay, I think this is the last question. Leslie Mellinger. Okay, is 5 months too young to sleep train? No, 5 months is not too young to sleep train. 0 to 4 months is too young, but once they hit 4 months, you can sleep train. The reason this is because we've learned that from 0 to 4 months, babies don't have the ability to self-soothe, and so we want to wait until 4 months old when they have the ability to self-soothe. And then from 4 months on, you can sleep train and your child can pick up that skill, right? Okay. My little guy goes to bed at 9 p.m. and wakes at around 11, 2, and 5. So one thing I would say, Leslie, is he's going to bed pretty late for a 5-month-old. My ideal times for bedtimes are 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And typically at 5 months, it's on the earlier end of things. So keep that in mind. Then he's up around 6:30 for the day. It's very tiring. Yeah, it's very tiring. You're absolutely right. I've been there with twins, actually, each waking 3 times a night at different times. It freaking sucks. At night, he eats a good 3 to 4 ounces at each feeding. Does this indicate he's truly hungry? It indicates that he's used to eating at night. You want to talk to your pediatrician, and based on your child and his weight and what your pediatrician knows about him, he will tell you how often he needs to eat at night. So, sorry, I'm just seeing this question. Oh, okay, sorry. So whether that's twice a night or once a night, he'll let you know, and then that's appropriate to feed him that much. But what will end up happening is as he eats less at night, he'll eat more during the day. So no, it's not an indication that he's hungry. It's an indication that he's used to getting calories at night, so that's when he wakes up to get them. I don't want him to be hungry at night if he really needs it. Again, talk to your pediatrician, see what he needs. At 5 months, it's typically 1 to 2 feedings. And then from there, it might be like you can either wean down how much you feed him, or you can just do it like one night. He's going to eat less, and he'll make up for it the next day, right? Okay, he eats a variety of quantities during the day, each feeding 2 to 4 ounces. So again, that will regulate, and he'll eat more consistently 4 ounces throughout the day, which are more sporadic than the night feedings. Exactly, because he's getting so much at night. Like, his main calorie intake is at night as opposed to the day. So we just want to help him switch that. He got 2 teeth at 3 months and is getting his top 2 in now. Don't know if this has anything to do with the poor night sleeping. Okay, so Leslie, if you were watching earlier, teething doesn't affect sleep except for when the tooth is just popping in, and that takes about 2 days. So if your child is sleeping bad for 2 weeks, it's not teething. 2 weeks is enough time to iron out any development milestones. So 2 weeks. And if he's not sleeping well, then he either needs, sleep training. Obviously, in this case, sleep training and moving his feedings to the day as opposed to at night. And then that's what he needs. Oh, and a better schedule. So 3 naps, somewhere around 8:30, 11:30, 3, and then a bedtime at around 6. Okay. Something like that. I'm totally throwing out random numbers. And at this age, at 5 months, it depends on how long their naps are, but something like that. Guys, I think that's everything, and we're at 35 minutes. So that's not totally awful as I try to keep these to 30 minutes. So thanks for tuning in. Again, Friday I will be publishing my post on the time change. Not only how to help your child shift, but I'll give you my game changer to make the time change actually enjoyable. Right? Can you wait to hear what that is? Guys, it's a game changer. You no longer have to dread this weekend. You can look forward to it. And I don't mean this weekend coming up, but I mean the time change weekend coming up. So get excited about that. Look for it on Friday. And you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your questions. And share this with your friends. If you found that this was helpful, give me a love, give me a like on this video so that people, your friends, can see it and they can start getting help too. Sleep, we all need it. It's a basic necessity. And usually moms aren't getting enough of it. So let's help each other out. Get sleep so we can be our best selves and be the best moms for our kids, friends, families, all of them. Thanks, Leanne. You're awesome. Okay. Thanks, you guys, so much. Have a good night, and I look forward to seeing you all here next week. Go submit your questions. If you didn't get them in, you can submit them right now by going to my page and clicking Get Started, or you can wait for my post that comes up, and you can submit a question when I do that next week. Okay, thanks, you guys. Have a good night. Bye-bye.